All right, and we're back with On the Record with Kevin and Tiffany on 9:30.
Tiffany and Kevin
on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Yourself first now.
Home of conservative talk radio. All right, Tiffany. So one of the things that I like to understand.
You messy, Kevin. You messy.
One of the things that I like to understand is how do systems work, right? Mm-hmm. How are things working? What do we need to do to address the issue? Who do we need to build coalitions with, right? And we go from there, right? So let's talk about the system, right? So I feel like whenever I criticize the medical system or hospitals, right, I feel like I'm criticizing a teacher. Right. It feels like that because they're important. They're important to our health. They're important to everything. Right. But here's the thing, right, that I always keep this in mind. Right. It's generally a third. Third of the people are good. Third of the people are OK. A third of the people suck. Right. For in different degrees. There's not an extreme. Everyone has different degrees of this. Right. And one of the things that I said this in the previous session of the show is that drives me crazy is, and it's going to sound rhetorical, is that we are in America. Right? We're in America. We come up with more gadgets and inventions. It's America. So when I'm like, we're in America, how is it that we still have disproportionate outcomes? And I simply don't believe the statement or the generally held view in the diabetes and chronic kidney disease space, right? That it's because people don't care about their health.
Oh,
you get that all the time. People don't care about their health. So there's really nothing we can do about it because they just don't care.
I will say that we have some of the best hospitals in the country right here.
Yeah.
In San Antonio and
best physicians.
In Texas too.
Yeah.
Right. And even in this space, you hear that often because that is across the board an
excuse, from my opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of baked into many of these systems that we deal with right now. And I was just talking to a legislator's health aide, right? And she's somebody that has has worked in healthcare. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we started talking about this, they just don't. She was talking about people, here in San Antonio, they just don't care about their health. They just don't care about taking their medicine on time, and that's not true.
Not true at all.
There's nothing there. That is not that blanket statement cannot and should not be made about Black and brown people. It shouldn't be made about people. Period. It shouldn't be made about people and their health because most people do care about their health, regardless of what their ethnicity is. And tying caring about your health to somebody's ethnicity is ridiculous. But most people care about their health. They are not being communicated with in such a manner that they, one, have the transparency of even knowing what their health status is, because in the kidney space, they don't have to report to you that you're in whatever stage of kidney disease that you're in until after stage 3. That is the recommended, that is best practices, recommended best practice to the physicians. Well, that does not mean that the other stages, it is recommended that they monitor. Monitoring is not defined. So it is being interpreted that, we're going to monitor, but we're not going to say anything to the patient. Often it's interpreted that way. It's not always, not in every case, but often it is.
And I'll leave a couple links in the show note that talk about that. But the system itself, right? It is hard for me not to be cynical, right? But I'm just going to give you facts, right? But if you look
He's the cynical one, I'm the optimistic one.
Girl, we're in trouble there.
No, we're not in trouble. I'm realistic because I deal with these doctors. So I'm realistic. I know what they're about.
All right. So hold on. All right. So let's talk about just the numbers, right? When you look at the numbers, right? Because I always hear Tiffany's Uncle Abe in my head when I'm looking at the numbers. So the numbers show, and when you look at it, we're going to talk about where the money is as far as treatment. Right? The money shows, if you follow the money, the treatment is in dialysis. That's where the money's at. All right. So at a minimum, if you go by Medicare pay rates, it's $88,000 just for dialysis. You're not including the other items that come along with that. You're not including infections, right? Because if you're on dialysis, you also get infections. So that is another expense. And always remember, someone's expense is someone else's revenue. Keep that in mind, right? So your car note expense is revenue to whoever you're paying the car note to, right? So you have dialysis, that's $88,000. We're talking Medicare. We're not talking private insurance, right? And then you're talking the other things that go along with that. There are infections that you can get from dialysis, right? There's a whole host of other things that can go along as far as the treatment that you need, right? So the money is on end-stage renal disease, on chronic kidney disease. It's in dialysis. Okay, if you look at diabetes. Right? In diabetes, the money is in the amputation. Kevin, are you saying that people are doing this or causing these things to happen? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just telling you facts. Facts. You can look this up on the one thing our government's good at is collecting data. Right? They collect a lot of data.
They are.
Right? So just facts say the money is in amputation. Those are facts, and related to heart disease. The cardiologists are the most fun group of people that I encounter, because they're like, hey, this can be solved by this, and this, right? They're very practical people. But then the money in cardiology is in stents and surgery. That's where the money is, right? Those are facts. You can look that up, right? And so the money is in when someone is, say, on the south side of town, they have to return to the hospital because of some related form of diabetes, or they have to have an amputation, or they have an ulcer on their toe, any number of those things. That's where the money's at.
He's talking about the south side of San Antonio.
Yeah, the south side of San Antonio.
Everybody else that's listening that's down in the valley and stuff.
Yeah, so that's where the money is. Those are facts. Right? And it's hard not to be cynical when you see the facts and then you see how slowly the information is getting to our people.
And so where he is cynical, I am like...
You're hopeful, right?
Yes, because I when you look at this is a matter of we have to change how people are incentivized and make better outcomes.
Yep.
And we see that in legislation that has been passed federally.
But you know the one thing that's missing, Tiffany? Nobody includes the patient. All these decisions are happening. You read all of the literature, and they're still debating on how do we tell the patient? I say client. How do we tell the patient? Should we tell the patient? There's actually debate on that, which I think is crap. Which is complete nonsense. It's just right. And so the other thing, right? We did a screening at Sacred Heart, right? We did a screening at Sacred Heart. And so I'm always conscious to not say nephrologist. I always say kidney doctor, that you need to go see a kidney doctor, right? And the one thing that just drives me bananas is when you talk to people and you ask them questions like, hey, have you talked to your doctor, et cetera, and they'll say, yes, but he was saying some stuff I don't understand. They don't understand. Right? And what drives this home, and I shared this last week, was that I had a friend who had a surgery, right? And so she made me the designated person, right, to contact, because she didn't want her family members being all involved in just a bunch of crazy and drama going on. And the surgeon, very competent. That guy was very, very, very good, right? And then when he calls me on the phone after she gets out of surgery, he says, and I'm going to summarize real quick, he says, I would index just from the visual site of the tumor, based on what I've done and all the surgeries he's done. This guy's extremely competent. You know, it doesn't look as if it's malignant, just based on the visual observation. But don't hold me to that. Okay, understood that. And he said, I would index the probability of it not being cancerous at about 85. Right? Now, for those of you who are smart people, you probably understood that. And then he was going to hang up. And I said, whoa, don't hang up, because I need to repeat to you what I think I heard you say, because now I've got to transmit this information to other people. And I don't want any misunderstanding, because my friend would come once she got off out of the situation, there'd be hell to pay, and I didn't want to deal with those issues, right? So I said, this is what I think I hear you saying. You're telling me based on your experience and the tumor doesn't look like it's cancerous, but don't hold you to that. You're just basing this on what you've seen. And I know you guys are extremely conservative. You seem fairly optimistic that it's not cancerous. And but you still have to go send it off and test it, right? But you also, when you said index, you feel about 80% sure of this, 80 to 90%, right? And he corrected I had some other things. He corrected a couple other things that's exactly right. I said, okay, right? But had I not corrected that, right, first.
And everybody doesn't have the capacity to filter through.
Oh, and by the way, it was non-cancerous, by the way.
Yes, he is right. Doing well, and we're all very happy.
But that very language was what people complained about. Was that you didn't communicate it well, or I didn't understand it, right? And then at the same time, in the system, right, doctors to begin with don't have a lot of time.
And that doctor was friendly and not...
He's one of the better doctors, yeah.
You know, sometimes you encounter doctors and the level of... You know, we have to have doctors confident in themselves.
Yeah,
so but sometimes that can translate into a degree of aloofness, and that can definitely be perceived as arrogance. So that too plays into.
But here's the other thing: is that patients aren't hostile.
Yeah, they're not. They're trying to get the information. Everyone I've talked to,
they were very empathetic. They had reasons.
And sometimes patients are intimidated, so they're sitting there trying to understand what you're saying,
and even
what the doctors.
But even when you're saying it, because I've been to the physician, I'm writing down questions, and then he's got his person there helping him write notes, and we're all three of us writing notes, trying to triangulate everything. And I don't think of questions until after the fact, right? But the system itself. Well, you take all of that. I have this belief, right, that if stuff is not happening right and we're getting bad outcomes in America, it's the system.
Yeah,
it's the system. It's something wrong with the system. It's something wrong with how people are being incentivized within the system.
It's not that everybody's nefarious.
It's not that everyone's nefarious, but I think because we get so busy, we just go with the system.
Well, you know, and let me make this point, and then we'll close. But often it is that we're reactionary.
We know about reactionary. We're in the public
it's reactionary. Baby. A lot of this is in medicine is reactionary, where they're reacting to a problem. So when you see a doctor, it's often him or her reacting to whatever you came in there for. And so the teaching and the helpfulness and the transparency may not always get to you because it's 3 to 7 minutes of their time. So, you know.
And you've been listening to On the Record with Tiffany and Kevin on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, where we're giving it to you straight. Is that what we said, Tiffany?
There you go.